talking with Graham Kerr. And Graham, I guess it has to be gratifying to you now. We're seeing, particularly down here in Sarasota, with we have a Whole Foods market down here. They have a very popular farmers market. People getting back to healthier eating, like you said, what you're doing in your garden there. So I think that movement seems to be getting more mainstream now. Have you found that out where you live?
Yes, I think every single time that there's been a downturn in the economy, there's been an upturn in people home gardening. And it's intuitive, really. It's sort of saying, hey, if everything really fell apart, the thing that I would want to have is something that's edible in my backyard. And I'm not saying doing it out of fear, but the thing that we love about this idea, we committed that we were going to take the first 25% of product, and I'm about to do that, actually, on Monday. Take it down to the food bank. That's my first quarter of the garden. And the second quarter goes to our neighbors, those people who live around us, and that's been wonderful. I've already started doing that. And then the next quarter goes on our table, and the last one goes in jars. I've got these. There's a bottling jar with my name on it. So I'm learning to bottle, and so that we can give these as a gift to people. I grew this myself, I bottled it myself, and I'm giving it to you. That seems so much nicer than the sort of, a ticket to some local restaurant or something. It's sweat equity, sharing something that you've done out of your own hand, own labor, with your friends and family and community. And I think we may be needing at least 2 or 3 years of helping our community to live a little better than we have been living. I think this is something that's it's not exactly like swine flu, but it should be communicable.
A healthy virus, yeah.
Yeah, really.
Talking with Graham Kerr. And Graham, do you still get as much of a kick, though, out of cooking? I mean, that old TV show that I grew up watching and so many people did, you look like you had so much fun doing it then. Is that, it sounds like just from talking to you, but do you still get a kick out of it the same way?
It has not become dull.
Mm-hmm.
It really hasn't. My wife, Trina, had a stroke and a heart attack and diabetes and hypertension. So every meal that I cook for her, and I've cooked about 40,000 meals for her. I know that sounds strange, but it really does add up. I make a contribution to her health. But I'm also setting out to delight her at the same time. And now I can wander into the garden and pick stuff and come back and invent things. I'm having more fun than I've ever had. And I know people in the business always say that, but I really am. This is a wonderful time, and it's not as if I haven't things to do. We're very busy in many different ways, but it's just I find it relaxing to do it, and I'm sure some of the people who are listening to us now, they would say the same, especially men who've been very busy in their lives and probably still are, to be able to get into the kitchen, put some ingredients together in 20, 30 minutes like that, wind up with a dish which is really delicious, and serve that to someone they really like. Nowadays, it's awfully hard to get that kind of satisfaction in a short period of time.
Do you still make clarified butter, Graham? I remember you always did that on the show.
Saturated fat has to be around about 2 ounces of saturated fat a day. So if I'm going to get fat saturated, I would prefer to get that in a little ice cream, well made. I prefer to get it in a nice piece of cheese. And so what I'm now using is, I wouldn't believe it isn't butter, made in the Mediterranean style with olive oil. And I find that's a very acceptable alternative. Yeah. So there we are. Sorry to any dairy farmer who may be listening. We don't have that number of dairy farmers around. They're not having a good time at the moment.
No, but you gotta cut out some things. But there's alternatives out there. I think that's what part of what you do is you've shown there are alternatives that taste as good or maybe even better. So that's what you have to look for, right?
One thing I have done, Doug, is I did another book since the one that we chatted about, and it's called Day by Day Gourmet. And virtually, the reason why it's called that is that is it possible to be a gourmet, thoroughly enjoy your food every day? And the only way to do that is by cutting out certain things that may do you in if you eat too much of them. And one of the things I did, I did a test run going through what we normally eat every day and came up with 36 foods as a list that if we have too much of them may in fact result in doing us damage in the long run. I've actually put a chart in the back of the book that a person could go through and assess how much they have of each of these different foods and come up with an alternate amount that they may wish to have to eat. And they can even work out what they'll save in terms of saturated fat and calories and the rest of it. It sounds a little dull, but it takes about an hour. But it is an absolute lifesaver. It's just amazing. Wonderful tool. So, and it's called Day by Day, and it's on our website.
Graham, again, it's always a pleasure to talk to you when the blog starts and when the book you're working on your table right now comes out. Love to have you back on again.
Thank you, Doug, very much. Thanks for the time.